So we have some unfortunate breaking news out of Vista, California, but we're going to turn this into a training opportunity, an opportunity to challenge you using an unfortunate circumstances, but it's reality these days. And unfortunately, violence seems to continue to be growing. So let's talk about this incident. A man that was shot at a Vista church in Southern California. It's happened this last Sunday, May 7th, as of this recording, just a couple days ago at 12:30 p.m. As I'm understanding it from my research, there is a service going on in this church. And a man suddenly, 77-year-old man, enters the church service and points a gun at his own head. So he's pointing a gun. He's got the gun. He's pointing it at his own head. So in a apparent suicide threat kind of thing. And so people are in the church. There's not a real good account of how many people are there. It sounds like some of his relatives were even there at the time as well. So I want you to begin to think about this. You know, this is terrible, a terrible incident, but it's part of the growing violence these days. And so I want to start challenging you and your teams. I hope maybe you're even watching this with your team or your church leaders and talking about what you would do. You know, 911 is called. Man in the church with a gun is the report. So San Diego County SO responds. That's their jurisdiction. They're in Vista. And they roll up and they begin to talk about what is going on. So they're starting to do their investigation, starting to figure out where the guy went, what the guy was doing, that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, he pops out with his gun. He walks out of the church. He's got his gun in his right hand, is what they're reporting. Deputies command him to drop it. He refuses, continues to walk towards them. They say they went as far as to even back up some. He continues to advance, and they end up shooting him apparently in the one or two legs. So it sounds like maybe just one of his legs is where they end up shooting him. So he drops the gun as well. And so it's a quick scenario, but a terrible one for everybody involved, for his family, for this church, for even the deputies involved in this situation. So what would you do? That's my question to you. And these are important learning circumstances for us since we're in church security. These kind of things are not going to happen often for us, fortunately. But they do happen, and they're happening more frequently. So I want to challenge you. What would you do, whether you're a concealed carry person that attends church, whether you're a church leader, whether you're a security team member, security team leader, or what your position is? I want to begin to challenge you in your mind. What would you do in this situation? And I'm also hoping maybe it challenges some of you to talk about this and discuss it as maybe in a team meeting, or share it and have some discussion about it Saturday or Sunday morning when you arrive. So what would you do? Man walks into your church during the service. He's got a gun pointed at his own head. What are you going to do? What are your options? And, I begin to think, first of all, the more of the people of our congregation that we can get out of there immediately, the less of a problem situation we have. And I'm not discounting his life, the suspect or the guy with the gun's life, but I'm mostly worried about our people. So if we can begin to say, go out the front door, get out, go this way, go that way, and begin to direct people to get out, maybe while somebody goes and engages him, one of our security team members goes and confronts him a little bit and begins to challenge him, maybe even, as I think, a little bit ahead, then the others of us, whoever else is there, whether you're a team leader or security member, or maybe an usher, you begin to tell people, get out of the building. Let's go this way. Maybe he's coming in the back door, which would be the back of the auditorium, which would be the front of the church, maybe. And then you've got side exits. And you can begin to send people out those side exits, or an exit at the opposite end of the auditorium or sanctuary from where he's at. And then we have other options, other things we need to do. We need to call 911. Somebody hopefully does that. They did in this case. So hopefully you direct somebody. Maybe if you're a solo security person, maybe you're directing people to go call 911. And you're trying to talk to this guy and you're saying, everybody out, everybody get out. And you go back to talking to this guy, and then somebody call 911. And then you're back to talking to this guy. And then you're yelling at people, hey, let's go out the side door, everybody out. And so you've got multiple things going, but hopefully you have some team members or some church leaders, because you discuss this stuff ahead of time, that are going to jump in to help you as well. What else can we do? Make sure that don't forget this idea, especially if you have armed security, that you're telling 911 that there's somebody there, there's a good guy with a gun, and that you're letting them know that your security team has guns as well, but you've got this guy. Maybe describe the guy, the suspect that came in with a gun to his head. Maybe describe him, and then let them know you also have your church security team has weapons as well. If you have a gun, and when I say go to engage the guy, you go to talk to him, and hopefully you have others that can evacuate people. Is your gun out of your holster if you have a gun? And I can tell you right now, mine would be out of my holster. It might be down to my side. It might be a little bit behind my leg and my hand, but I've got it out ready to go. And if he does anything but point that gun at his head, then I'm beginning to engage him a little bit more. Before we finish this show, I want you to know that our teams are preparing more and more material to help you and your teams thrive when it comes to church security. We have online training like armed or unarmed basic church security programs, leading church security teams, training for ushers, and we also have training like surviving tactically, an intermediate certificate for you to obtain. Check out our programs at churchsecurityanswerman.com, or look for the link in the description here on YouTube, or the comment section wherever you're watching this program, if you will. So I'm ready to go to protect myself and protect others. But it sounds like he kept the gun held to his head, including when he was hanging out in the church, is what it sounds like. So if you have a gun, what are you going to be doing? That's what I want to challenge your mind, though. And then, are you giving him commands? Put the gun down. What else can you do? Lay on the floor. Please don't do this. And, and what kind of things can you talk to him about? And this is important, because I know that each of you, because there's not a lot, honestly, there's not a lot of commands we can give him. Drop the gun. Please drop the gun. Please drop the gun. Put the gun down. That's pretty much the commands we can give him. But what are the kind of things can I do to engage him or to talk to him? And this is where it becomes important for you and I to do a little training, these what if trainings ahead of time, because we want to think about what kind of things can I talk to this guy about. You're really beginning to try to negotiate with him or listen to him. And this is important stuff for your people, to protect your people. Maybe not everybody evacuated, and so this is where doing some training ahead of time on communication and getting good at this stuff. And it's hard to do that. I know it's hard to see where active listening or de-escalation techniques, or, it's hard for us to see that we need to really practice those, and maybe even have a training on those, and then some practice training, because these skills can be so important in the middle of a crisis. And that goes for everybody in church, the team leaders, the youth group leaders, security, ushers, greeters. I think we should all have some of this training, because it's so important and for dealing with a major crisis like this, but also just for people that are having really bad days. So what kind of things can I talk to him about in this situation? He's got the gun to his head, and he's standing in the church, and he's probably saying some things. He had some relatives there, so they're probably trying to engage him. And what can I do? I can begin to use active listening skills. And those are are you beginning to ask him what's going on, and to try to get him to talk, and you listen. What's going on today? You seem like you're upset. And these aren't easy things. As soon as you say to somebody, you seem upset, they're probably going to snap back at you a little bit and bark at you. But I've seen it. I've used these skills as a negotiator in law enforcement, and they'll snap at you and they'll say something like, yeah, I'm upset, or yeah, I'm really pissed off, those kind of things. And then you can begin to talk, and you can begin to listen, and then they begin to release some energy, and they're talking to you, and you can use some wows and some, wow, that must be tough, and some of those kind of things. And we can agree, disagree on language, but I would encourage you to look at those kind of things. Look at de-escalation techniques. Look at diffusing techniques as well. And we have a video on de-escalation techniques. And I'll put the link in the description. It's been a while. I think it's been about a year as at the time of this recording. But there's the icon on the screen for you. And I'll put a link in the description of where you can go look. But just look on our Church Security Answer Man page. Go back about a year if you don't have the link wherever you're watching this or listening to this. And you can go back and find that and get some more information on de-escalation techniques right here on YouTube, a little training for you. So those are the kind of things, I mean, honestly, those are the kind of tools and stuff we have at our disposal. Is what are you going to do? You know, this guy eventually turns around and walks out of the church and meets up with the officers in the parking lot, and we know what happens there. So he did survive the incident, if I didn't mention that earlier. At the time of this recording, he had been to the hospital and was apparently being treated. And so I'm hoping he's going to get some help for his suicidal thoughts and his life and that kind of thing. But what are you and I going to do in this situation? Because it is a very good possibility that something off of this will happen, because this covers really people in crisis, people being violent, people that are just at the end of their rope. There's all kinds of scenarios that this fits for us to be ready to engage in crisis communication, de-escalation, active listening, any of these kind of things. And here's a case where I can challenge you and help you to see that this is something that would be a good characteristic, a good talent, a good communication skill for you to have as a member of church leadership, church security, ushers, greeters, whatever, so that you're ready to talk with people and help lower their temperature if they're really upset, those kind of things. And so I would encourage you to dig into that wherever you can find stuff. It just doesn't have to be just from me. Find communication training wherever you can, but we do have some available for you. And we have some in our paid training as well that we'll mention off and on that you can take a look at. Those links are in the description as well. So I hope you will like and subscribe here. Join our community, because I want you involved. I want to hear from you. I want your comments. And we're just sharing stuff all the time in the comments, and I don't want you to miss anything as well. So, and then take a look at this next video. This will be one to help you continue your information, your education in this topic. And I'm so glad you're with us.